Like going surfing at 3. If you guys want to meet us up at North Beach.
Their work was affecting and entertaining, even if they're no longer with us.
What are you? Get your hands out of my pants, man!
You steal from the store, you stealing from me. What is this?
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 actors you didn't know were dead.
Do you remember our first date? You took one look at me and you said, Vivian, that is a bad dress. Now, you could have just said it was a good dress.
I could have if I liked it. Actually, it was a bad dress.
For this list, we'll be ranking the actors whose deaths either flew under the radar or whose public images were such that their deaths might not have received news coverage around the world.
You also took your underwear.
Ah, that's like the third pair.
We're not intending to be flippant or disrespectful in our approximation of these actors, but rather doing our part to celebrate the work they did while they were alive.
Giving to me might still be time.
Number 10. Jonathan Brandis.
You see, sensors in the tank pick up the size, clicks, and whistles. The ship's computer then interprets it, translates it.
Suicide among young people is always sad, but it hit dangerously close to home in Hollywood when Jonathan Brandis hanged himself in 2003 at only 27 years of age.
Thanks for painting that picture for us. Listen, I hate to break up this little seminar, but I gotta go.
Brandis is remembered by a generation of kids who grew up watching the handsome and charismatic young actor on the small screen in Sequest DSV, on the big screen in Sidekicks, and of course in the Stephen King miniseries It.
Get out.
What if I won't?
I think the 6 of us could put you in the hospital.
Indeed, so enduring was Brandis's quick smile and capable acting skill that it came as a huge shock when the actor passed in such a sad and dramatic fashion. Number 9. Michael Clark Duncan.
What's important is we know that you know where Jimmy Tedeschi is.
Look, I really have no...
Death can be a sudden and shocking event, taking the lives of those close to us at a moment's notice. Such was the case with beloved actor Michael Clark Duncan, who suffered a fatal heart attack on July 13th of 2012, from which he never recovered, finally passing away from respiratory failure on September 3rd of that year.
You know what? It's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets any better. Understand that.
Duncan was a mainstay on both the big and small screens, possessing a larger-than-life personality that continues to affect those who have the pleasure of seeing the man's work in such films as The Green Mile.
I could feel it from here.
Michael Clark Duncan may be gone, but his presence continues to live on in the man's enviable body of creative work.
I have suffered your kind before, the dregs of Sin City. I serve a new master now. And soon you and all your wretched kind will serve him as well.
Number 8. Bernie Mac.
This ain't no Chinese made jack off. I tell you how it's gonna be.
This comedian may be dearly departed, but the laughs Bernie Mac gave his fans continue to echo long after he died in 2008 from complications brought on by pneumonia.
Look at it, you got a poster, Maze. Who are they talking about, Willie?
The inflammatory disease known as sarcoidosis was also said to have contributed to his death in a Chicago hospital in August of that same year, robbing the world of a truly gifted and quick-witted comedian.
Excuse me, brother. What we call drugs at 74th Street Baptist Church, we call us sin.
Bernie Mac's extremely popular stand-up work, as well as memorable appearances in films like Bad Santa and the Ocean's 11 series, ensure that his career will surely cast a long shadow for years to come.
Black man can't earn a decent wage in this state.
That is absolutely
cowboy like you gonna try to throw me out on the street?
No, I'm trying to do my job, sir.
Do your job. What you want from me, man? Want me to get on the table and dance? You like me to shine your shoes? Want me to smile at you?
Number 7. Brad Renfro.
Mom, I don't want to talk to him. I want to wind up like Rick if they don't stop bugging me.
They're not gonna go away.
It isn't easy for some people to maintain the correct balance between fame and the temptations that seem to run parallel to it. Popular actor Brad Renfro was yet another unfortunate casualty in an industry that so often sees young people paying the ultimate price for experimenting with hard drugs.
Look, can we talk about this in a minute? Seriously, I'm like this close to being done.
Fans may have lost touch with Renfro's career after the actor's acclaimed appearances in such films as The Client and Apt Pupil, as his life after these performances was marred by alcohol abuse, drugs, and various run-ins with the law.
So many things can happen in between.
accident, sickness.
Renfro died from heroin and morphine intoxication due to an accidental overdose while at his home on January 15, 2008.
First time I ever smoked weed, I was in like the 8th grade. And I knew a lot of other kids who've been doing it and shit, but I was always afraid to.
Number 6. Dennis Hopper.
Baby wants to girl.
There are some Hollywood icons that manage to be enduring presences on the silver screen.
I'm confused!
Dennis Hopper was one of these icons, a movie star maverick whose career thrived through over 5 decades in the business.
Hey! Hey, man, would you mind? You just woke my friend up.
The last years of Hopper's life were made turbulent thanks to a bitter divorce battle that exacerbated the actor's battle with prostate cancer. This disease ultimately took Hopper's life in May of 2010, but the man's influence continues to be ever present, thanks to Dennis Hopper's definitive appearances in such films as Easy Rider, Blue Velvet, and True Romance.
Now, if that's a fact, tell me, am I lying?
Number 5. James Avery.
Where is he?
He's upstairs changing.
Not Will. President Reagan.
James Avery was lucky enough to have not just one, but 2 defining roles in his lifetime. In front of an audience as Will Smith's imposing but lovable Uncle Phil on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and as the voice of Shredder on the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon program.
I know that fighting style. It is the foot technique.
Complications from open-heart surgery may have contributed to Avery's death at 68 years of age in 2013, but the talented actor's voice and face continue to live on within the hearts of his loyal fans.
What am I gonna do? How am I gonna make it through the day without an assistant? No, gotta go. Not so fast, Will.
Number 4. The cast of the original Poltergeist trilogy.
They're here.
It's one of the most pervasive myths in the world of haunted Hollywood, the supposed curse that surrounds the cast and production of the 1982 horror classic Poltergeist and its first 2 sequels. This curse is said to have been caused by the real skeletons used during a number of crucial scenes. Acquired from a medical supply company by the name of Carolina Biological. Whether or not that's true, its supposed victims include star Heather O'Rourke, who died of cardiac arrest and septic shock at only 12 years old, and co-star Dominic Dunn, who was murdered by jealous boyfriend John Sweeney in 1982.
The day he predicts for the end comes and goes.
Meanwhile, Julian Beck and Will Sampson from Poltergeist 2 both met their deaths before the 3rd film's release.
It's my kind of job. You know, maybe it's no coincidence. This guy shows up, things go kind of screwy.
Number 3. Lee Thompson Young.
So Levi tells me you're making me the Eliminator.
Fans of the Disney Channel series The Famous Jet Jackson may have lost track of actor Lee Thompson Young after he grew up and branched out into other projects, but this didn't mean that Young was destined for child star failure.
You gotta do it no matter what. Mom's not gonna be happy till she's back in the spotlight.
Instead, the driven and talented Young earned a role on the hit police drama Rizzoli and Isles, a role that earned him both critical and commercial praise.
I hope I'm crazy. He didn't want to accuse the program he loved unless he was sure he was right.
Sadly, Young suffered from bipolar disorder, an illness that led the actor to commit suicide in August of 2013. However, he left behind a body of work with both power and potential.
And I will miss that infectious smile and the joy that he brought to every day.
Number 2. Thuy Trang.
Leave us alone, Bulk.
Oh yeah? Make me. Yeah.
It's difficult to imagine what great career paths might have opened up for actress Thuy Trang had the young star not died in a car accident in September of 2001. Perhaps it was the close proximity of Trang's death to the September 11th terror attacks that prevented reports of her demise from spreading through the usual news channels. What is certain, however, is Trang's enduring legacy as the very first Yellow Ranger, Trini Kwan, on Saban's hit franchise Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
All right, I'm in. Me too.
You can count on me.
Affirmative.
Twee Trang's career may have been cut short, but her contribution to the childhood of Power Rangers fans will always be remembered.
You've got to give back everything you took right now!
Before you hurt someone!
Before we remember our #1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Time travel does not frighten me, sir, because it's not possible. What does frighten me is the possibility of some poor soul with leukemia
there are
coming
dangers
to
in
you.
traveling in and out of time, as we understand it.
Oh, not as good as Wednesday at 10. Well, Wednesdays are just all filled up, sorry. How about next Thursday at 2? Oh, fine. Next Friday at 11, bye.
With you and your pal. I got shoved into a broom.
Excuse me. Me and my pal?
Yes.
You are referring to President Bartlett?
Yes.
Refer to him that way.
#1, Lisa Robin Kelly.
Look, just tell Mom I'm too old for surprise parties.
But you're the baby. Mama loves her baby.
We've already discussed the perils of fame and what happens when stars lose their battles with drugs and alcohol. But what about when a star is attempting rehabilitation?
I'm mean to you, you're mean to me, so come on, hit me.
Sorry. I can't. Not today.
This was what that 70s show star Lisa Robin Kelly was going through when she checked herself into the PAC's rehab house in August of 2013. Kelly had endeared herself to fans as Eric Foreman's sexy older sister Lori on the popular sitcom, but her career was derailed, thanks to a dependency on drugs and alcohol.
Give me the remote control.
Give me a reason why I shouldn't set you on fire.
She died in her sleep not long after checking into PAC's house due to accidental drug intoxication.
Burst into flames! Burst into flames! Burst into flames!
Do you agree with our list?
You say no. Here's a question. Why?
Which actor's death did you think went underreported?
Do you mind if I take the tall one? No, that's all right.
For more retrospective top 10 lists published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
May I remind you that you are here to help me, not help yourself? Now you sit your butt down over there and shut up.
We love how they hate each other, but we love it even more when they team up. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 good guy, bad guy team-ups in movies. For this list, we're looking at the most notable nemesis team-ups in film.
You think you alone were loved of Mother? You had her tricks, but I had her trust.
Some may not be traditional good guys or bad guys per se, but rather characters who had some sort of conflict with each other in the past, but are now working together to accomplish a shared goal. Since this tends to be a major plot point in a lot of these movies, consider this your spoiler alert.
Want to ring the bell? All right. Ding, ding.
Number 10, Thor and Loki, Thor: The Dark World.
This is so unlike you, brother. So clandestine.
Even though they don't share DNA, these two characters grew up as brothers, and Loki always resented the kind of attention Thor received.
I thought you liked tricks.
Despite the bad blood between them, when their mother is killed by Malekith, they reluctantly work together, setting their differences aside. Sorta. They leave Asgard against Odin's will, so that Thor can save Jane from an ancient power that threatens the realms. In return, Loki can avenge his surrogate mother.
She wouldn't want us to fight.
Well, she wouldn't exactly be shocked.
But when Loki is fatally injured, there's a touching moment between him and Thor. It's because of this display of brotherly love that this team-up is interesting. It shows that they do care for each other beneath all the bitterness.
I'll tell Father what you did here today.
I didn't do it for him.
Number 9, Royce and Predator, Predators.
Being hunted.
Despite the language barrier between this human and alien, Royce and Predator are able to come to an understanding. In exchange for a one-way trip on a spaceship to Earth, Royce will free Predator from his chains.
I want off this planet. You understand me? I'll cut you down.
It's a deal that Predator decides to honor, because he'd rather fight the bigger, badder Predator who put him in chains to begin with. It's momentous because it's the first time that a predator spares a human in favor of killing its own kind. Too bad he ends up getting his head sliced off, and the ship gets blown to smithereens. But at least we saw the beginnings of interspecies diplomacy. It's a step in the right direction.
I needed to know who we were up against. Now I do.
Number 8. Frank Abagnale and Carl Hanratty. Catch Me If You Can.
How do you know I'll come back?
Look. Frank, nobody's chasing you.
A chase between FBI agent Carl and teen conman Frank turns into an unlikely partnership and friendship here, in a film inspired by true events.
The truth is, I knew it was you. Now, maybe I didn't get the cuffs on you, but I knew.
Oh, people only know what you tell them, Carl.
After Carl investigates him for years, once Frank is in prison, these two characters team up to put Frank's expertise in forging checks to use.
How's your daughter? What was her name?
Grace. Well, I don't know. She lives with her mother in Chicago. I don't get to see her much.
Sadly, they both suffer from a void left behind after their families were torn apart by divorce and remarriages. But while working together, they develop a bond that fills that void, gives Frank the courage to stop living in his world of lies, and shows that true friends can be found in the most unexpected places.
I don't understand.
Sure you do. Sometimes it's easier living the lie.
Number 7. Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. The Godzilla franchise constantly pits fierce monsters against each other, but when they join forces, they become quite the formidable team. In the 5th film installment, Tokyo is under attack by Ghidorah, a three-headed, two-tailed, gravity beam-breathing dragon, on the very same day that Godzilla and Rodan appear. Talk about bad luck. Mothra is summoned to save the Earth, and she pleads for Godzilla and Rodan to fight with her against the dragon. But the two are perfectly happy to exchange blows with one another, until they see Mothra attack Ghidorah on her own. They ultimately put their grudges aside and save the day by becoming a badass dragon-slaying team. Well, for now. Number 6. Tuco and Blondie, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Such ingratitude after all the times I've saved your life.
In this gunslinging classic spaghetti western, Tuco and Blondie start off on the wrong foot. This only gets worse when Blondie turns his back on their first partnership, which involved making money over and over again off of Tuco's bounty.
You're the son of 1,000 fathers, all bastards like you. And your mother, she's you bastard!
A great deal of antagonism is born out of this incident, but it's put aside in favor of locating $200,000 in gold, of which only Blondie knows the exact location. So they form a shaky new alliance to prevent Angel Eyes from finding the treasure first.
I'm very happy you're working with me, and we're together again. I get dressed, I kill him, be right back.
Still, what makes this team so fascinating is that they never really trust each other, but still mostly care for each other. Well, if you can call it that.
So that's why you came to Tuco. It doesn't matter. I'll kill them all.
Number 5. James Bond and Jaws, Moonraker.
Do you know him?
Not socially. His name's Jaws. He kills people.
In this film, Bond and Jaws, a henchman who doesn't know how to die, are trying to kill each other once again. But this time, if Jaws wants a chance to live, he'll have to put his goal of killing Bond on hold to stop his employer Drax from hitting reboot on planet Earth. So the huge killing machine switches sides, teaming up with 007 to eliminate Drax and send him into space.
Desolated, Mr. Bond. Heartbroken, Mr. Drax.
This 180 shows that a Bond villain can act for the greater good, and that Bond is smooth enough to make a bad guy do good things.
Jaws? We can't disengage. The docking release system is jammed. Can you help us?
Number 4. Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed. Rocky 3.
What's the matter with you?
Tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow!
These two boxers have been at odds with each other from the beginning of Rocky's career. But when Rocky's trainer Mickey passes away due to a heart attack, the antagonism between them is set aside in favor of training together to make Rocky as strong and skilled as possible so he can knock out his #1 contender, Clubber Lang.
After I crucify him, you next. Just stay out of my face, chump.
A deep friendship is born through these trials and tribulations, and in the end, it leads to Rocky's second heavyweight championship title.
The heavyweight champion of the world, the Italian stallion, Rocky Balboa!
Rocky and Apollo's new bond doesn't stop them from throwing punches at each other from time to time, though. So, while their rivalry was intense, their friendship is even better.
You won by 1 second. You beat me by 1 second. 1 second. That's very hard for a man of my intelligence to handle.
Oh, is it? But didn't you say after I beat you, you learned how to live with it?
I lied.
Oh, you lied.
Number 3. Xavier and Magneto, X-Men Days of Future Past.
You abandoned me! You took her away and you abandoned me!
Though the Brotherhood and X-Men work together in X2 X-Men United to save mutant kind, it's actually X-Men Days of Future Past that takes 3rd place on our list, since it sees Xavier and Magneto teaming up in both the present and the past.
Good to see you too, old friend.
Old wounds are patched, as young Xavier and Magneto join forces to prevent killing machines from nearly destroying all mutants in the future. It's not an easy alliance, though, as Xavier and Magneto's ideas of how to go about saving mutant kind are completely different. But despite a few bumps along the way, they part with respect for one another. Can't they just admit that they love each other already?
Goodbye, old friend.
Goodbye, Eric.
Number 2. Captain James T. Kirk and Khan. Star Trek Into Darkness.
My crew is my family, Kirk. Is there anything you would not do for your family?
In this team-up, Kirk makes a desperate deal with Khan to take on a hostile top-secret Federation starship, the USS Vengeance. They must cooperate to defeat their common enemy, Admiral Marcus, who's hell-bent on starting an intergalactic war between humankind and the Klingons.
You killed them in cold blood.
Marcus took my crew from me. You are a murderer!
But making any deal with Khan, a power-hungry superhuman, is insanely dangerous. And once their common enemy is apprehended, the Alliance disintegrates like mortal flesh in a radioactive reactor chamber. Kirk backstabs Khan, only to have Khan in turn seriously damage the Enterprise.
I thought he was helping us.
Considering their antagonism in the original Star Trek, it is riveting to see these two work together, knowing that they are only using each other.
This indicates that you plan to align with Khan, the very man we were sent here to destroy.
I'm not aligning with him, I'm using him.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
We'll need a disguise. There's only one uniform. One of us has to go on the other one's shoulders.
I'll fight with none but thee. For I do hate thee. We hate alike.
Blade. Meet the blood pack. Lighthammer. Verlaine.
Number 1. Clarice Starling and Dr. Hannibal Lecter, The Silence of the Lambs.
Quid pro quo. I tell you things, you tell me things.
In this classic psychological thriller, FBI trainee Clarice Starling seeks the help of Dr. Hannibal Lecter, a cannibalistic serial killer, to capture another killer on the loose, Buffalo Bill.
I'll help you catch him, Clarice.
You know who he is, don't you?
In order to gain Lecter's professional advice, she makes a deal with him to exchange personal information about herself.
You're very frank, Clarice. I think it would be quite something to know you in private life.
They form a strange kind of bond. The kind you can only share with someone who knows about your most traumatizing moments.
What did you see, Clarice? What did you see?
Lambs. They were screaming.
It's just too bad for Clarice that she has this kind of relationship with a killer that she then has to chase to put back in jail after his impressive escape. But It's the twisted nature of their relationship that we just can't get enough of.
Starling.
Well, Clarice, have the lambs stopped screaming?
Do you agree with our list? What's your favorite good guy, bad guy team-up?
Well, now, seems just like old times.
For more mind-blowing top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
My God, what's Bond doing?
I think he's attempting re-entry, sir.